My name is Roger Higley. I'm a member of Troop 94.
My name is James Langridge. I'm a member at large of the Northeast Iowa Council and sort of an honorary member of the executive board.
My name is Greg Thill. I've been involved with Venture Crew 48.
Over 80 years ago, I became a Cub. They didn't call them Cub Scouts back in those days. It was the program was very in its infancy.
My first experience in scouting was when I was 13 years old back in 1960. I belonged to a Troop 77 in Northeast Iowa Council.
My dad was a scoutmaster of a small troop in East Dubuque, Illinois for over 20 years, so it was kind of natural to get involved in scouting.
I was only in Scouts for about 1 year. I enjoyed it.
I became an Eagle Scout 75 years ago.
I earned my Eagle Award. I'm one of 8 Eagle Scouts in my family, including my father, my 2 brothers, and 4 nephews. The outdoor and adventure, getting out in the outdoors and spending time, learning about nature and camping is just always something we've been involved with my whole family.
Well, I would say the people that I was involved with, both the youth members of my patrol, of my troop, members that I became acquainted with on camping experiences, the leaders. So I would say the leadership and the fellowship, the partnership that we've gained is a big part of my staying in scouting. I would say my camping experiences are probably the things that I remember most, both with my troop and then later on in our council camp. And then I had experiences at the Philmont Scout Ranch and at National Jamborees. So camping has been a big part of my experiences in scouting.
The bond I've developed with a lot of my friends that I grew up and met in scouting. To this day, I can still run into a lot of those people and haven't seen them in several years, but scouting still bonds you. And today now, as we're growing up in scouting and we have our own kids active in scouting, I'm running into some of these same people.
Well, let's go back to that Scout Oath and Law.
Just living by the Scout Oath and the Scout Law, it's just something to live by, and it's a guide for you as you go through life.
The Oath and Law has shaped my life, and that got me involved in several other youth organizations.
And I think the virtues that are established in that really set my lifestyle. And I've tried to live by all those throughout my entire life.
To this day, we still say it at every meeting, and it is something that has formed how I am and who I am today.
Scouting, in some ways, has changed a lot, and in some ways, they've remained pretty stable.
Still continue the patrol method, and the Scout Oath and Law has not changed since inception of Boy Scouting.
The Scout Oath and Law that was established 107 years ago, when they came out with the first Scout Handbook for Boy Scouts of America, the Scout Oath and Law was established. And those same words that were established then continue to be enforced today. Also, the patrol method that was established by Peyton Powell is still used in the scouting program. And I wanted to think of the buddy system that we use in swimming and on camping trips and so forth is still in use today.
The biggest change has been in the adult leadership, some of the requirements that you need to do extra, too deep leadership and so forth.
Changes, oh my, lots of changes in advancement. When I received my Eagle back in 1942, there were 13 merit badges that were required. Of those 13 merit badges, 5 of them are still required: first aid, camping, cooking, life-saving, and swimming. But I also had to earn bird study and pioneering and pathfinding. None of those badges are required today. Pioneering and Bird study are still merit badges. Pathfinding was eliminated, but they've been replaced by merit badges now in family life, communications, and personal management. So you can see how they have changed over the years.
Just as your kids grow up, you want to have them go through some of those same experiences that you went through as a youth.
I had seen what Scouting had done for young people, for boys.
The camping, the outdoors, the friendships developed at summer camp, all that kind of thing. So it was neat to see that grow up.
I have seen boys go down to Philmont, for instance, and after our 2-week experience there, they come back as young men. So I think Scouting has a big influence on young people, and I guess that's the real motivating source that kept me in Scouting for many, many years.
Also, the way that Scouts allows for individual success. It's not so tied to a team sport, but it allows your youth your kids to progress on an individual basis and succeed. A few years ago, my father passed away, and I was going through a lot of the photos from the old Scout troop, and I ran across a photo that he had taken in probably the 1950s out at Camp Burton.
I still remember the time we went to a cabin along the Mississippi River, a winter camp out.
It was a string burning contest that he had orchestrated with his scouts, with his group back then, and it was an exact replica of a photo I had taken just a couple years before with my boys, and when they were involved with the PAC-15. So it was neat to see how that crossed all those generations.
Well, I'll tell you a little bit about the Cubs back then. Like I say, it was in its infancy.
And it was really, really exciting time, being a country kid. You get a chance to go out and along the river, and we went out to an island and picked up some firewood and brought it back on a nice campfire, and I enjoyed that time there.
And we wore blue shirts, and our cap was kind of like a baseball cap, so a lot of people kind of mistook us for a junior softball league.
And now with my nephew as a pack leader, with his kids now coming up, doing the exact same things, having string burning contests at Camp Burton, to see how that Scouting has transcended across all those generations is really neat.
In the den that I was in, there was a young man, or young boy at that time, who became a very international TV star, and his name is Andy Williams.